I'd like to introduce Susan O'Reilly. She's the owner of our Riley Creative. Susan's business is focused on helping businesses better communicate their branding message effectively and creatively. Please welcome Susan. Next, I'd like to introduce Tony Zozel. Tony is managing partner of Multiply. Tony's full-service advertising and marketing firm specializes in quickly understanding client needs and developing a customized branding plan to meet their needs. Please welcome Tony. And next I'd like to introduce Brent Matson. He is CEO and President of Flickr Creative. Brent is a professional web designer, graphic designer, and web programmer who delivers integrated branding solutions to his clients. Please welcome Brent. Well, first of all, we're all interested in getting to understand how to better position our brand and leading to success for all of the attendees here. And as we begin our discussion, I want to make sure that you understand that all the things we're going to be covering in here are going to be leading us towards better brand positioning, but more of the strategic and awareness types of things are things that I'd encourage you to reach out to these vendors and talk about a little bit more. The research that I did here at the beginning in just helping define brand, I found a definition out there from the American Marketing Association. And they define brand as a name, term, design, symbol, or any other feature that identifies one seller's good or service as being distinct from other sellers. And I think what I'll do is we'll just go down the road here. And I'm just interested in your respective opinions on what you might add to that definition, or specifically how you might yourselves define brand. So I'll read it again. They define brand as a name, term, design, or symbol, or any other feature that identifies one seller's good or service as being distinct from other sellers. So, Susan, your thoughts on just the definition itself, or anything else that you'd add to that?
Well, I think your brand is really about all of those things put together. It's not just the design, it's not just your name, it's not just your logo. It's all of those things that are put together, and it's also your values and the perception that people have of your company, your service, your product. So it's how they see you and your products.
Okay. Tony?
I summarize it as it's how you're remembered. And your brand is how you're remembered, or how you're perceived. Mm-hmm. That's sum it up as simple terms as possible. Okay. Just to kind of build on that. I mean, yeah. They have these, defined characteristics of the brand, mm-hmm. and that's ultimately when the day is over, how are you remembered on that day or that period of time? Right.
Right.
Yeah, basically the same. I mean, we've covered it pretty good there. What it is, it can be as expanded as you want, really, with your brand, from the image, your logo, even down to your letterhead, all that stuff, and then also the message you're sending out to clients or to potential buyers or to businesses, what have you. It's about making that emotional connection with people as well, with the brand. Something so that they trust you, that they trust that you, the brand, all that stuff. So it can go, like we were talking before, that we could spend an entire week on this and not cover everything. Mm-hmm. So it's vast.
Okay. I'll stay with Brent here. What do you see as kind of the biggest misconception out there as you're talking to clients, about branding specifically? Is there one thing that you see?
Probably the biggest misconception is that the brand is your logo, and that's it. That it's just what's on the paper. That's what branding is. Branding is not that. Well, it's part of that, but it's the message that you're sending people. It's the just overall internal things, how your company runs stuff, how they answer the phone when a client or a customer calls. I think the misconception is that it's just about the look and not about all the extras that are out there.
Okay. Tony, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, give you an analogy. You could have the nicest lawn, you could have the nicest paint job, but if someone comes inside and there's no drywall and no carpeting, it's a wasted effort. Build on that analogy. It's a full, using the house as the analogy, it's outside, inside, design, architecture, how everything is run. If it's a mess inside, the clients would notice.
I agree with both of them.
Okay. I could have said the same thing, we could have moved on, but had somehow the house
At least we
analogy.
didn't use it, depends.
Yeah, haven't used it yet.
Tony, where do you most often see people knowing when they should be considering possibly rebranding? I mean, most of the people here attending, they have an opportunity here to possibly, look at doing this. They might have branded their business already, and maybe, I don't know, is there anything going on with their businesses that makes it a better time to be considering these types of things?
Well, I've done this for a long time, and I can tell you that there's one or two, maybe if I get to this, 3 different instances where people change their brand. They're under attack, so they're new competition, so they need to update their look and feel. They need to make a change to their product and their positioning. May sound funny, but they got a big show they're going to. They got a big launch. They have a new product. They have some event that's going to happen. Those are the 2 main events that I've found we need to change. We need to make a major change in our business model, or there's an outside force changing our business model, are usually the 2 biggest predictors of people making a change in their brand. I could probably come up with 20 more, but those seem to be, when they come into our office and they need to make a change, that's usually the 2 bigger predictors of it. And obviously if they're brand new too, but.
Brad, do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, big one. What about your sales? Are they dropping?
Right.
I mean, if they're dropping, it's because either one, you're doing a horrible job now. Well, going really extreme, saying you're doing a horrible job, but that maybe you're not doing as good as you once were. Maybe your customer service is not as good, and now people are looking at competition. Maybe you raised your prices and you shouldn't have. I think there's potentially a question coming up, so I'll save it for that. But as an actual example, but has your target audience changed? Have you been in this industry for so long that now the web has become more of your resource, that you should be looking at branding better, because your actual target audience that's buying your product or using your service is going to the web first. It's a younger crowd, or maybe it's switched now, it's older. I mean, or it's just becoming outdated, the look or your message. So I think those are some big, precursors as to why you should rebrand.
Okay. When I asked all of you about branding and kind of come up with some ideas, all of you had expressed the fact that you really need to get your company or your employees to really be living the brand and being part of the brand. And Susan, if you could just kind of elaborate on that and kind of what that's all about.
Well, it's really important that your employees know what your brand is about and what it entails, the values that you hold and how you operate and how you as a company want to be perceived. And I think a really good example of that is Southwest Airlines. If you've ever flown Southwest, you know they're about casual, fun, friendly. But if you happen to go onto a Southwest flight and the flight attendant is crabby, you would think you got on the wrong flight, because that is not their brand. And so it's really important that all employees, especially those who interface with the customer, know and understand your brand and really live it, because if they don't, if you go on a Southwest flight and the flight attendant's crabby, people are going to talk about that. And then that's a whole nother issue after that, but about brand management. So it's just really important that they do that.
One of my clients is Johnson & Johnson, and they have they call it Credo, but I always learned the word as Credo growing up. They call it the Credo. And But anyway, in their credo, it has to do with serving doctors and physicians is their main goal. That's what their purpose of coming to work is. It's literally, it's less than 9 words long. It's an amazing thing, and then everything comes back to literally, you'd be in a meeting talking about, the company Christmas party. What does this have to do with the credo, they would say. Everything came back to that credo. Everything, every one of their actions was depicted on that, how they serviced other doctors and nurses and physicians. So.
Do you see companies lacking that? I mean, in general, the small to medium-sized business, which, there's a lot more of those than there's the large companies out there, lacking kind of, whether it's what do you want to call it, a tagline or a credo or...
Yeah, I think about 9 out of 10 of my clients lack that.
Do you think that's a starting point for people
Sure.
as they begin considering branding?
Absolutely. I think that's if you have to find something you're going to live by. Say what you're going to do and do what you say are the most successful companies.
And if you admit your mission statement, I mean, if your employees don't buy into what you're doing, what your company is about, why should the people that are using you, your clients, or people buying your product, why should they buy into the people that actually you're paying to work for you and promote your product or to sell it, what have you? If they don't buy into it, then what's the point? I mean, you're obviously, there's some disjoint there as to what you believe. Obviously, if you're a business owner, you have absolute faith in what you're doing. Well, hopefully you do. If not, then we have some other issues. But even down to just the attitudes that people have when they're talking to a new client, new customer, or to an existing one. I know it's real cliche with the old, when you answer the phone, have a smile on your face because it makes you happier. It makes you more upbeat. Well, try calling some of those customer service lines that, for your credit card company, or you call Comcast and it's, well, sorry, Comcast. Oh, who's your competitor?
Huh?
Who's your competitor?
We have no competitor.
Good branding. So not Comcast, they're the greatest. Which I have Comcast, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But no, like if you call a place and the customer service is terrible because the people just don't care on the other line. I mean, if you're outsourcing your customer, your customer relations, then why should they care? I mean, it's just a job for them. So I guess, that buying into it. Sorry.
So as we're, looking at our companies from the inside out and kind of trying to learn things, Susan, what do you think we can learn from our employees and maybe our existing customers that can kind of help us towards developing, some sense of the, brand before we might talk to someone like yourselves?
Well, I would find out how people see you right now and find out what is the perception right now. Do they have a positive perception of your company, your product, your service, and what do they value too? I mean, if your employees are going to be basically your ambassadors, what is it that they value about the company, and perhaps that's going to play into your ultimate brand strategy. So I mean, that's one thing to think about.
I mean, we often do for our clients, we do internal and external audits. So we would interview their employees as to how they could foresee the brand or the marketing, or usually it's probably marketing or some type of marketing positioning. We interview both. And on an external audit, we'll interview 6 prospects, 6 suspects, and 6 clients. Suspects meaning people who have turned them down.
Okay.
Flat out, we've never used them as our provider. Those are the people who tell you the truth.
Right.
They're way too expensive, or their service is terrible, or we had a bad experience. You can learn so much from people that say they had a bad experience. What was it about the experience specifically? You can bring that back to the client and help them build to be stronger.
Okay.
Try being your own customer once. Call call your office or have someone else call your office and tell them this is what I want you to do, or go to your website, try to purchase something. Is it a pain in the ass? Well, there's an issue there. I mean, you might think that because you have the best vision of the company, or you're behind it and it's been successful, and it's dropped a little bit maybe, or you just want to see how things are going, get a open your eyes a little bit and actually become a customer for once, or maybe you've done it, but I mean, I thought I was doing the greatest thing, and I asked a couple of my clients, what else can I be doing for you? And they said, well, this is what you can be doing. Mm-hmm. And because I thought I was doing everything, well, there's a few other things I can be doing. There's always room for improvement, no matter what.
So those are, I think, good for us to understand that those are good starting points for us. I think you probably all agree that having somebody aid you towards some of those things probably be beneficial, and I know that all of you can.
Well, especially if your employees know your voice and you're calling,
right.
They might be, oh hi, John.
Right.
If you have someone else doing it or what have you, that they don't know that person, you're gonna see how they actually treat someone.
Mm-hmm. Well, as somebody might consider rebranding, is it something? Let's say they already have a logo, they have some letterhead, they have a website, they have signage that they use at trade shows, what have you. Does one need to do a complete overhaul, or is there ways to gradually transition these types of things? And I don't know if you could talk about maybe one of your clients where you maybe done a project like that, similar.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't have to do a complete overhaul. I mean, branding is not something that just happens overnight. Really, I mean, the logo, the look, that usually, that'll come first a lot of the time, and the other stuff, will come along in time. For example, one of my clients I'm working with now, they have a brand and they've already got the logo, the look, all of that down, but where they're asking for my help is to kind of bring it all together and to get employees throughout the organization to really embrace the brand and to follow the brand standards, so no matter what communication they send out, it has the same look, the same feel, the same messaging throughout. And so really, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
I don't necessarily disagree, but we try to position our clients to do as much of the, I hate to use the word graphics, but anything that's visual that the client needs to have or will have access to, or potential clients or current clients will see. We try to urge them to change that as fast as they can to make a good hard switch. However, that being said, we also, oftentimes this is when a name change or a logo change or a physical location change happens. That's always a good time to make a change. But we'll also do what's called a progression. So, for example, they change their name. And now if your company is ABC and you change yourself name to DEF, well, we always want to make sure that they retain any equity they had in ABC as long as they can. And sometimes that's 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and retain that name within the new logo or the new mark or whatever, so people don't completely get lost from what the old brand is to the new brand or the new name or new product.
Okay. I think I don't know. This is maybe an opinion on my part, but I think oftentimes people might not invest as much time or energy or dollars into this because they might not feel like it's going to show them necessarily a return on their investment in doing that. And I'm interested in your thoughts on kind of maybe sharing some results and people that you might have worked with and what you might have done for them and where they've actually been able to see a real result as a result of them changing their branding and redesigning, if you will. Brent?
Yeah, I guess actually one client that we're working with right now with literally launching a new website, new brochure, new mailer, all this stuff. They had a brand new logo that they had designed for them, but then they were using, they didn't have one kind of agency, I guess, doing all their stuff. So what they would do is, if you need a paper ad, the paper designers would do it. If you needed a brochure, the printer would do it. And everything was different. I mean, you got in-house designers that want to use this as a portfolio piece to take that next step up, and they're doing whatever they want and they think is cool. Well, it doesn't match the brand. So what we're doing right now is get everything is consistent, and the message is consistent, the headlines are consistent, font consistent. They sent out a mailer last year to sign up for new services. The front, and I'm so glad they went with us, because the front of their brochure is white. The back had the mailing address. Really good. I mean, it probably got ripped up 9 times out of 10, and the only reason why I didn't get on the 10th is because the person was like, oh my god, there's a little logo on the return address. So now it's branded entirely on a nice cover. They get immediate returns on services just because they're mailing this out to clients, and they see that, and it's, oh, this is the company, this is who we trust, this is who we use, and this is their brochure. So I'm gonna at least open it and see what it is. Oh, it's the sign up for my next services for this summer. Awesome, great. Where that really had dropped off. And it's all because of just that disjointed branding, that it wasn't, people just didn't recognize it. So that, I mean, that can have a huge impact on that just immediate return on that of, if you are a trusted brand, make people know that you're there with everything you do.
Susan, do you have a client you want to share about?
A specific example, but really, I mean, my examples would be similar to Brent's, where they have a disjointed brand where the messages weren't consistent and everything that went out, whether it was in print or online, and that confuses the customer. And so you don't know, if you get a direct mail piece that looks one way and then you go to the website, it looks totally different.
Are you at the right place?
Exactly, you don't know. And so I do run into that on occasion.
It seems as though whenever we design a new logo, new branding, new anything for a client, it seems like internally, especially if you get the people from the buy-in from the entire company, or at least their executive team, it just seems like there's an energy that comes with it. I don't know, 12 to 18 months of energy, like, wow, we can put the new logo on our polo shirts or golf balls, and they're just pumped up that there's this new, and it seems like it brings a new energy to the team. And I could list off 6, 7, 8 groups like that we work with, and it's fun to watch. It's fun. That's one fun part about our industry. I'm sure these guys have had that, where they're just, you gave them a logo or some type of look and feel, or to change their brand. Or I had one client, we didn't do anything to their brand, but we gave them a tagline that basically enveloped what their new message was and what they were going to be all about, and they lived by it. It's at the bottom of every one of the people at their company sends me an email. It's sitting right at the bottom, that little tagline sitting there, and it's like they're fired up about it. It's been October of 2010, and they're still fired up about what that means, that it represents who they are. So it doesn't have to be a logo, it doesn't have to be a color change or a product change. It could be something simple as just a simple tagline, or a print ad, or a campaign that they're excited about.
Okay. And I'll start with Susan. Do you think that there's any, as somebody starts looking at the potential process of looking at this, is there a starting point that you encourage them towards when they might meet with you, as far as best place to start, as far as considering possibly rebranding?
Well, I mean, the best place to start is to tell me where you think you are at this
Mhm.
point. And for me, the starting point is listening to what you have to say and just taking it all in. And then that way you can figure out where to go from there. That would help me to figure out whether or not your logo, your design, your look, your feel, if that's what needs to be addressed, or if it's your messaging, your overall messaging, and really coming to one of us, knowing how your customers and your employees and how others perceive you. It's helpful if you know that when you
Okay.
approach us. But if you don't know that at that point, we can help you figure that out as well, through surveys and interviews and that type of thing.
Anything
Yeah,
you guys
just-
consider?
For any of us, there's plenty of stuff we can walk you through and help you with, and I mean, it's a lot of times where to start can just be, give us a call. We'll tell you where you need to start based on your company. Everyone's different. Everyone needs, some people need a little, some people need the whole shebang. And you kind of, get to the point of when you actually get into it, it's like when you were talking about the audit stuff, of you got to know where you're at, and you got to know where people think you're at, and also where you want to go. What do you want to do? Not just fix us. Because you know your company the best, you know your brand, or what you're selling the best. We don't offhand. We'll learn, and we'll get to know what you're all about and help you get there, but you got to understand yourself first too.
I'll say this, if you've made your way into my office somehow, there's a problem. And people don't come to us and go, yeah, we just had our sales went up $50 million, and the logo that my nephew designed was it. That really did it for us.
Just wanted to tell you.
Just wanted to tell you, usually there's a problem. I don't mean, devastation, or, there's a need, there's a strong need for something, and usually we're very good at identifying. I would say all three of us would be good at identifying that. On the other hand, it seems though, if you are in our office, we are very good at quickly picking it up. And one thing I've noticed, a logo, let's use a logo as an example, it's a good example. It's a very personal thing. So 9 times out of 10, someone walks into our office, we're not going to go. That's the first thing I'm not going to say. That's the ugliest logo I've ever seen in my life. You got to get rid of it.
Not out loud.
Yeah, not out loud, exactly. It's just too personal. I have to wait. My rule of thumb is I need to hear the owner or the marketing manager or whoever it is say at least 10 times, this is the ugliest logo in the world, please get rid of it. Because if first thing you say is, these marketing materials, this website, whatever it is, if it sucks, you tell them that, in their head they've already checked out and they're going to go check out somebody else. I need them to kind of admit it first before we can kind of go down that road and get into it.
Right.
Yeah. Some people just want a print ad. We'll make you a print ad and walk away,
Yeah, right.
I guess one thing that's kind of coming to mind here for me, and as we've been talking here, is that there needs to be some uniformity and some consistency with this. And I think the one thing that people, I don't see that with necessarily with all businesses is whether that carries through into their social media. And I'm just wondering how important each of you believe that that is. I don't know, Susan.
Absolutely. Your message has to be consistent everywhere, whether it's in print and social media, it's on your website, it's in a press release. You don't want to, stray from your brand and your message.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys?
Yeah.
I can't
Yes.
add to that. I
It's-
can't add to
I
that.
mean,
Huh?
I can't add to that.
Oh, okay.
yeah, as I say, just know that it goes cross-platform, whatever. I mean, it's not just like it just happens type thing. I mean, you got to work at this. You're gonna run into people that want to do something different, and you got to either it makes sense or it's nope. This is our brand. It's a great idea, but this is our brand. No, don't change the color of my logo. Don't change our our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our corporate identity. Don't change our PMS color that we have for our cor And it goes right into the web where it's just you have this beautiful print and layout and all this stuff, and then you go to the web and then you have a red and blue as your normal color, and now it's purple and white is what you did on the web because of the person you hired. That's what they wanted. That's what they thought was cool. You gotta stick with with your brand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'd like to open it up to some questions. Do we have any right now?
I'm going to ask this to Susan because she's the only one that uses her last name in your business name.
Oh.
I'm in the law business, and
Yeah.
I've seen many studies over the years that say that clients hire lawyers, not law firms.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of law firms in the last 5 or 10 years give names to their law firm as opposed to using, Johnson, Smith, etc. What's your attitude about that? And when I ask the lawyers that are in those firms, the founding partners, they usually say it's because they'll be able to sell the firm later on without, branding it to themselves.
Right.
How do you see that with personal services like that, like financial services or legal services? Is it tied to the name of the person that's sort of the magnet partner that comes in, or do those kind of rebranding with a generic title of the firm, like Family Law Inc. or something? Is that a valuable way to rebrand?
Personally, I have to say it really depends. If you've got a name that is catchy, that if it's part of your brand and people identify you with that name, go for it. But I don't think it works in every industry. I don't think it works it just doesn't work for every industry. I think it's individual for your company, what you stand for, and what your industry is all about.
I got a couple answers to your question. Number one, I'll give you the legal, my opinion on how law firms. I think a law firm is used to being called Smith, Jones, and Smith. And I think the target audience is used to law firms being called Smith, Jones, and Smith. That's a fact. I'll give you an example, a case study. Hinshaw Culbertson is a national law firm. They're huge in every state, they're everywhere. Hinshaw and Culbertson, my guess is probably been dead and gone for decades, or at least I'm assuming are no longer involved. But the name Hinshaw Culbertson really is just, it could be Family Law Services or big corporate law firm.com. It might as well just be called that. So I think that's what the consumer is used to, hearing that, some type of, culmination of names sequentially put together. So that's what, from a law firm, that's what they're kind of used to. Quite frankly, when I see law firms that are named something that isn't that, I'm like, uh-oh, that's a bad sign. It's got to be a scam.
Nobody's famous enough to be a draw to anybody, so they're picking up another kind of marketing title.
There's no big name behind it.
Right. So, however, speaking on the other side of that, again, I owned my own marketing firm before Multiply. It was called Zolzl & Company. Talk about a mouthful. I mean, my last name is the most impossible last name to spit out of your mouth, much less answer the phone, or much less go to meetings. And then I'm Tony Zolzl, I'm the president of Zolzl & Company. It just became awful, and I couldn't wait to the day to change the brand from Zolzl to Multiply. I was like, thank the Lord, I'm now done being called my name. So some people hated, I hated having my name attached to it. And it worked better as I wanted to have a corporation, like you said. I don't want my name, I want to be able to sell it someday. I'd like to sell this to somebody else. So I think there's virtues to both. It kind of just depends. It kind of matters what industry you're in. It is a great predictor of what might be a best result for you.
Tony, what I kind of, the discussion has kind of come through, it's kind of gone between this kind of very strategic business model, what are we, to kind of what's that representation and stuff like that. And I'd love to get you, and it kind of came in this question, and maybe see if you disagree with me on this, that the brand seems to be a culmination of what the value proposition and the value chain, the processes and steps and culture of what this organization really is and what makes them unique compared to competitors. You have to understand that, what you are really, and then the communications, the messaging strategy, and the brand goes and helps try to bring that to life and crystallize that within the stakeholders' minds, whether it be employees, whether it be customers, general public. Is that, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of coming around there, but it seems like you have to understand really yourself before this brand really comes in. Otherwise, it's the house with the nice lawn. And
I
nice
just
siding,
keep
but
coming back to
nothing
that
inside.
analogy. The marketing team, external marketing, which we do a lot of, is we're inviting people to come in the house. You know, and boy, look at, we got a nice grass, it's beautiful. It's gonna be great when you get inside. When they get inside, if it's a mess, it doesn't matter. And people will figure out that it's a mess in a heartbeat. And actually, oddly enough, lots of people will get to the outside of the house and can kind of look in the window, meaning your sales call or your meeting or your presentation, and they'll start to see cracks and leaks and even before they actually even open that door and commit to a relationship with you. So yeah, it's a bad analogy, but it's true. A brand is, often people think the brand is just what the house looks like on the outside, but really it's what's on the inside is just as important.
Do you ever do any counter branding strategies? For example, when a social media effect like the shoppers of Walmart, you know, pictures that go on, something like that happens and you need to take some action to counter that in the media, to rebrand back to where the image is.
Doing it as we speak. We're doing it as we speak for a client of ours. They went into bankruptcy protection and were considering, how do I say this without naming them? They were considering honoring how they're going to, the new business was going to honor warranties, and they were getting just slaughtered in blogs and social media. And it was our advice to honor the warranties or change the name, because they were going to use some similar facsimile of the same name in the new business. So
Didn't you have
they
permission of the bankruptcy trustee for that?
Yep, they did. So anyway, long story short, yeah, we do quite a bit of that. And every one of those situations would fall into that depends category, but it literally, in this specific case, to answer your question, yeah, we've done quite a bit of that.
Yeah, it just depends on the level. For us, it's you know, it's some of it can be a PR thing too, where it's, you know, you need to, if there is that behind it, you need a great message behind it as well, to come back. You know, and even to the point of like a lot of social media stuff, when we talked about that a few months ago, where just like that stuff, being able to respond to things is a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. That, but you have to respond and not hurt yourself even more. Like if someone's bad mouthing you, you can't come back and say, well, your hair looks bad, or you know,
Right.
You know, you got to actually ask, what did we do? How can we alleviate this situation? And now you're getting valuable information back from someone that's mad and bad mouthing you. All of a sudden they have you, they can talk to you. Now they can alleviate that stress maybe, and it can help you in the long run too.
And it is very important that you defend your brand. I mean, if you believe in your brand and you want to uphold your reputation, it's important to listen to what other people are saying about you and to respond when necessary.
I think a good thing, like you said, is listen.
Listen.
I mean,
I want to thank all of you for attending. I want to thank all you guys for participating in the panel. In closing, I'd ask you to just share with the attendees here what a good opportunity might look like for you, people that you'd be happy to help, or other people that they might refer to you if they themselves don't have you. Know what you start.
Well, the type of people or companies that I would could help are people who just need to get their messages out, whether it's with their branding, I mean, that's part of it, but just messages in general, even if they have their brand already solid and in place. So, as a communicator, I do both writing and design, so it's kind of like bringing it all together.
Okay. Tony?
My first boss that I had a long time ago, I've been stealing his line for years, says, if you got something to say or something to sell, give me a call. That was what he said. Great! I loved it. So I'll say that to somebody, what do you do? And I'm like, so I use the sunrise.
Okay. Ron?
Most of my clients are usually a smaller company, and they want to have a professional look, and they want to, have everything come together, and that's what I help with. I'm a small company as well, so I know, what it's like to be a small company and wanting to, look professional. And obviously, you're offering a professional service, but they might not see you that way, and that's where a lot of the branding stuff that's what we help with a lot is that, getting you to the next level. And it's everything from print to web on our end for development and all that, so it's all there.
All right. Well, thank all of you again. We will make sure you are notified about our next event. Thank you for coming.